All right, everybody. We are doing a special live coverage. We want to see if our good friend Michael Deeb's Porsche 911 SC that we talked about on the last episode, we want to see if it's going to make reserve. We're going to watch the close live with you guys. This ought to be interesting. So let's get after it. Sounds like we got some audio feedback there.
My
Deeb's
bad.
got
My
his
bad.
audio on. It's all good in the hood. Michael Deeb, what are we talking about right now? Check out this car. What is this thing? Whose is this? Is this yours?
I can't believe I let you talk me into doing this damn show while we're closing. I have like too many things going on at the same time. So that was my audio. Apologies. Yeah, we're selling, I'm going to use his first name. We're selling George's 911 SC Coupe here in a couple of minutes. At least I pray we do. We haven't quite reached the reserve, but we are very, very close. And honestly, John, the car seems to have been received so well by the BAT audience, and of course, all the members of the Nerd Herd that have been commenting and watching the show when we covered it just a couple of days ago. But JP, as we are live right now on Tuesday afternoon, our hammer, or at least the countdown to the clock, will begin in about 12 minutes. So this morning you were like, hey, let's go War Room. And I'm like, all right, sure. And now that we're here and I'm trying to keep my eyes on like 8 things at the same time, I feel like Mr. Sticks and Plates from the old Ed Sullivan show, like I got a lot of balls in the air. But yeah, John, the response has been great. Positive comments all the way around. And then, tons of our friends are watching this live, which is kind of cool. And I really appreciate everybody for doing that. But George is really excited. He's feeling very good about it. Like I said, we're really close to the reserve. And as we know, JP, in this price point, once we get it to within, about $3,000, $2,500 of the who's he, what's it's the
Reserve, yeah.
The reserve, BAT has a built-in electronic formula, and they'll just cover the closing costs to make sure that the seller is made whole. So we are, in fact, very close to meeting the reserve and then essentially announcing that the car will sell today. So I'm excited to do that. That's when I get to exhale and my heart starts pounding at a normal minute. And then any bids that come after that, it's like watching somebody put, more syrup on your waffle. You're like, yeah, keep it coming, so that's what we're hoping for. That's where we're at. We're feeling really good. I hope it's not inflated, but this is a really great car. I made a posting, John, I don't know if you read this, but let me just read this. A little thing like last night before I went to bed, and I said, the owner of this Porsche bought the car last year and has spent his time addressing anything that required his attention. All the service and maintenance have been performed and is up to date. He changed the plugs, the wires, the cap, and the rotor. He switched to Carrera chain tensioners. He adjusted the valves. He even had the brakes done and changed the diff oil, plus all of the service that was done in 2021, basically a few years before he bought it. So, and he went on to say, he told me that the AC works and the sunroof works and even the cruise control works on this old SC. So it's a turnkey car. Whoever gets this car is going to be able to just like take it out that day and go for a drive and know that everything has been done so that you can go out and enjoy it. So I'm hoping that's the kind of thing that gets people to put one more bid because they know, we talk about all the time. You buy a G body and it'll absorb $5,000, $6,000, $7,000 and you would never seen it. I feel like this is one of those rare cars where you don't have to spend any money on it. As soon as you get it, you could just start driving it and enjoy it. And enjoy it worry-free. And I'm hoping that's what will sort of push it over the top and see it sold in just a few minutes here.
Yeah, we are all kind of on pins and needles. This has got to be stressful for you. We're doing the show. We're watching to see if there's any new comments coming in because you, as the person listing the car, that's one of the things that's really important on these. Whenever you run one of these auctions, you gotta, as the seller, you gotta be ready for the questions. You gotta be ready for the rude questions, and a lot of rude questions are going to come in. No matter what. And you just have to be prepared for that and have the soft skills that my partner has that I don't. Like to a point, like I'm going to be selling one of my cars on Bring a Trailer here very soon. And I may not, you guys know me. if you're fans of the show. Me interacting with the community may not be a good idea when it comes to trying to sell the car, right? So I'm probably going to enlist my partner and have him deal with it and have him respond to the people, because the car I'm going to list isn't going to be as, let's call it, as nice as this one. The car I'm listing is definitely going to be one of those cars that is going to be polarizing, to say the least. So, part of me is like, yeah, I'll be mean to the people who are jagoffs. But the other side of me is like, well, Deeb having to deal with it. This will really prove his mettle if he can really handle the soft skills. Or hone those
LS.
skills for for my LS swap car, because that's going to bring the hate. This car is not bringing the hate. Look at this. We got comments coming in right now. What's going on?
Read it, JP. So Jimmo Vet.
Yeah, Jimmo Vet. As someone who is on BAT literally every day, I can't believe I just found out about Bid Nerds, because I am one. Yeah, Jim Vet. Get after it, man. We're live right now. I learn something new here every day about cars, and us crazy people who are obsessed with them and their auctions. I'm learning. Look, Jim Ovette, you are one of our people. You need to be in the nerd herd. Get in there. The great thing about Bid Nerds isn't myself. It's not my partner, Michael Deeb. It really is the nerd herd. It's the folks who are watching, that watch this show live and then comment later. This is not our normal time. Usually we're on, at 6:30 p.m. Pacific time on Wednesdays and Sunday nights. That's when we usually go live. But since my partner Deeb is covering this car, not just covering this car, he's representing this car as his business. We thought it'd be kind of interesting to see if we'll make reserve. We got 6 minutes to go. The car is sitting at $55,000. It's an 82 911 SC, and this car is absolutely a fantastic, ready to go driver. Anyone who gets this car is going to be awesome.
There we go.
We got another auction, another bid. Yeah. Okay, that feels good. All right, this is going to get rolling. Very good. Yeah, all right, we're going to light this wick and shoot the rocket off here. This is going to be a lot of fun. Hey, look at that, Deeb. You've got a producer today. Very exciting.
Hey,
hello. Who's that?
Yeah, that's Esther. Say hi.
Who's in there? Very nice. Hi, Esther.
Yeah, Esther was like, how close do I have to sit next to you to be on camera? And I said, I don't think JP will even notice you're here. And immediately you noticed she was here. I'm like,
well, I've got my producer too here. I got Patootie. There it is. She's like not looking at the camera. She won't do it. She's like, nope, okay. Let's go back to the coverage.
Patootie's like, you don't pay me enough to be forward facing. Like I don't handle all the complaints. All right, JP, I am going to put a little comment in here and announce to the room that might be watching that it's time for them to refresh their browsers. So if you are in fact interested in making a bid, I would encourage you to do so, because now would be the time to make sure everything is up to date. So JP, you talk for a second while I type.
Yeah, we are 5 minutes to go. We threw this live, this live cast here together really quickly. This was something that we decided to do just this morning, and it's great to see Nerd Herd members. We got the OGs are here. Ross Churchhouse in New Zealand is watching, because he is how it's done, man. He is the Nerd Herd, as well as Chris Carbine is hanging out with us right now. We got Dwayne Wick from Wick's Garage. Thank you guys for hanging out. Brian's hanging out here. Here's a regular. Car Cave. Hey, what's going on, man? This is great that this cat, maybe we need to be doing our live show in the middle of the day instead of in the evening so late for those. I know a lot of the East Coasters have a really hard time joining us at 6:30 PST on the East Coast. That's much, much later. But we are down to the final minutes. 4 minutes to go, $56,000. This car has 17 bids right now. Who's bidding on this thing? Who was the most recent bidder? Kill Ben is the most recent bidder. That's interesting. I like that name, Kill Ben. You gotta love people's, call signs on here. But who was the last bidder from yesterday, Deeb? So last bidder was this morning at 55 grand.
Caleb Matisse and Andrew James 1. Now, Andrew James 1 has commented and bid several times. So that particular bidder has made themselves sort of known to the room that they have what I would interpret as genuine interest in this car, because they're kind of a multiple bidder, and have commented and asked questions, which, not that we can glean a lot from that, but it tells us that they're to me, I can say, at least I think there's genuine interest there from that person. The other ones are kind of new, at least to my perception. And let's face it, you know how good I am at perceiving who are the new members of the Nerd Herd.
Well, you've got things to pay attention to right now, so don't worry about figuring out who's new. Looks like Jimmo joined us. He's the guy that just learned about it, and he's the one that was commenting on. Let's see here. It looks like Jimmo Vet here. He is now in the Nerd Herd. Welcome, Jimmo. Introduce yourself. Looks like you already have in your meeting a lot of the regulars. You're going to make great friends in there. That is great. We love it when new members come to the Nerd Herd and hang out and meet all the other people. Jimmo, maybe we'll meet you at an event sometime. And we look forward to that if that's possible. Here we go. What do we got?
Here we go, JP. So we got about 30 seconds until the clock winds down. So I'm hoping that the action will begin now. And like I said, we're just a few $1,000s away from, there we go, 57,000. Welcome to the room, JD SVT. SVT, I wonder if that's special vehicle team or whatever that was with Ford. Might be a Ford head right there. Wow, 62. It's an auction. So JP, I will tell you this. I think at $62,000, I don't know for sure because we're not exactly at the the reserve, but I think that's close enough that the Delta by BAT would cover it. So
someone's getting this car. It looks like someone's going to get this car today. This car looks like it's going to sell. I'd be shocked if it doesn't. But I know we are on the razor's edge right now.
Yeah.
Do you get when you get this close to reserve, when does BAT send you? They don't send you anything. They make the decision after the fact, right? Are you prepared to potentially lower the reserve in order to get this done?
Not necessary at where we're at now. I don't think so. I think the car is sold. Yeah. But when it hits actual reserve, I'll let everybody know. So
and the other thing too is
that would push it over the top.
Another thing is that these days they are allowing the top bidder to come in after the fact and make a bid after the auction closes if it doesn't actually sell at close. So this is going to be a really interesting test to watch this in real time. We know that we are close enough to the reserve that oftentimes BAT will cover the difference. We're down to the last minute. Woo! This is pins and needles, Deeb. How you feeling right now, buddy?
Yeah, good. Always still, this is clammy time. I just want to see it hit the actual reserve, and then it's like I said, it's all gravy train from there.
Wick's Garage says those seats are worth $1,000 alone. No, he says they're worth $10,000 alone. Man, I think he's having some typing problems there. But this is a good number. Somebody's going to get this car. We just need to get it up just another $1,000 or something like that. Is it going to happen?
Yeah.
Here we go. Last 20 seconds, $62,000. Will this 911 SC Coupe get one more bid under the wire, or are we going to have to wait and see if BAT covers the spread? BAT wants to make money, so they may not make as much money as they normally would by covering the difference. So I think that's what, oh man, this is 2 seconds, 1 second. Sold for $62,000. Congratulations, Michael Deeb. They covered it.
Absolutely. They covered it. There you go. George made all
great.
Yeah, there it is. I mean, interesting, JP. When we covered this car a couple of days ago, all of the bids in the herd were in the mid to high 60s, and then a few were in the low $70,000 range. But there you have it. BAT making up the delta to cover what was essentially, a few $1,000s higher reserve. But BAT is happily going to cover that delta to make sure this unit sells. George gets made whole at his reserve price, and we've got a car sold. So way to go. There it is.
That is great news. Wow. I mean, I think we could talk about this a little bit now that the auction is closed and the car is sold. Tell us about how the process works when it comes to getting a reserve and what your expectations were. Do you feel comfortable talking about that behind the scenes now after the fact?
Yeah, I don't think it's a problem at all. So, essentially, when George and I started to talk and look at the car, I get a feel for what I think the car is from a quality standpoint versus what I think it'll, yield in the marketplace. And then, you have to ask your client, well, what do you want to set as a reserve? And then whatever they ask, that's where, that's sort of the gray area of me negotiating with them. And the theory behind that about negotiating with them prior to going to BAT is that it's easier to have a difficult question with my client up front than a really tough question on the end by not speaking up about what I think the car is realistically going to bring in the secondary market. And then going all the way through the auction process and having a failure to sell, which would be, let's face it, just terrible. So my client asked for, kind of a mid 60s reserve, which I thought might be a teeny bit high. And I said to him, listen, I'll submit that to BAT, but we're also at the discretion of what BAT will offer to us. Will let us know. And so, anyways, I submitted it with that reserve, and BAT never blinked, which I thought was really interesting and pretty telling. And then, of course, the car was received really well right off the gate. We've had great results and engagement and bids all the way through, and we got basically right to the cusp of my client's number without, without having to make any concessions at all. In fact, the only one who made a concession here was, in fact, bring a trailer, and not anybody else. So I'm very pleased with that result and very happy for my seller. I think he's going to be thrilled that the car is sold, and for what he and I both recognize is a retail number. Even though we cross our fingers and we always hope for a little extra juice, this is a really fair value for a really good car, and I think that's great. The odometer is always a tough one to overcome, but based on the condition and the equipment and the how do I say, the transparency throughout, I'd say we're all going to be very happy with that result. So there you go.
Yeah, this is. I mean, look, a lot of people are like going, I don't know, do I want to hire a professional? Does it make sense? Do I want? I mean, as a seller, you're sitting there going, okay, I've got to incur the cost of a good photographer and maybe even a videographer. I've got to pay the fee to actually list the car, which is marginal. And you know that the auction platform is going to add an additional, their 5% on top of whatever the car gets bid to. So as the seller, you're sitting there going, okay, here's my car. I think it's worth $60,000. But really someone's going to have to pay, basically that, what is that? $63,000 for, with the, whatever, somebody else do the math. Yeah. I'm not good at the math. So they're left going, am I better off just to trade the car in or sell it on my own in like Marketplace or one of the forums or something like that and not have to let someone else get the money? If I hire a professional, now I'm going to have to give them a piece of this. And look, this car is the perfect example where you thread the needle as close. You got this guy, you got your client absolutely the most money possible for this car because you submitted a reserve that was right on the margin. And that's because you're a bid nerd and this is what you do. You know the values of cars. Are you asking yourself here going, man, maybe you need to charge more for your services?
No. We're not there yet. I'm still in the infancy of my career as an individual. And when I say individual, that's me and my wife helping me to do this thing legitimately. But George was really one of the first people who, let's face it, John, we didn't know before he came forward as a member of the Nerd Herd and happened to live in my area and said, hey, I've got this car, what can you guys do to help me? And I got to meet him and see the car. And like I said in the show, he's been great to work with, and just, like I said, I wish all customers were as nice and as good and as quick and as transparent as George. But I'm just thrilled that this one went well, and George is a winner because the car sold. Mr. or Mrs. It's an Auction, who's the winner of this SC, is a winner because the car is so good. But then Bid Nerds, I think, kind of gets a win on this one because the Nerd Herd really, really came out in droves, to endorse us and the show and the car and the whole thing on BAT in real time, and we got to post a link. And we got someone like Jimmo Vet who's like, man, how have I been around BAT this long and I just finding Bit Nerds now? Yeah, Jimmo, where you been, dude? We've been doing this for like 5 years now, which is insane. Founded in 2020. I mean, JP, we got to get the t-shirts made. Like, it's been a minute. But this is really, I think this is going to wind up being a little bit of a footnote, a little watershed moment for the show and for everybody. So thank you to all of you guys for commenting and saying such nice things and helping to kind of push this one over the finish line, because let's face it, all that engagement made a difference and we couldn't have done it without you.
What cars you got coming up next? Do you have anything else in the hopper ready to go?
I do. I got to run. I am shooting a 1990 black on black 964. It is a 911 C2 rear-wheel drive that has 62,000 miles on the odometer. And JP, this car has been treated to everything. So JIC coilover suspension, Brembo big reds from like the 993 turbo brakes on the car, BBS LMs gold with the polished lip. The car has a ducktail spoiler, a center exit exhaust. They removed the back seat, they removed the front seat and installed fixed back pole position Recaros. It's got a short shift and a tall handle. And then the big news, JP, is that the 3.6 liter has been bored out to 3.8 liter and treated to the Rassant individual throttle bodies that are all being run through a Motec system. I have driven the car, JP, and based on my experience, this car drives more like a Metzger engine than like any air-cooled RS I have ever driven. And I've driven a 964 and a couple of 993s. And the throttle response and the power of this car, I think, is more in line with a 996 GT3 than it is to an air-cooled car. It is fantastic. So I'm going to go photograph that car today, and then that car will get submitted this week and should be live in probably 2 weeks. And then right after that, JP, my chiffon turbo look will also be photographed. It's going to rain here for the next 6 days, so I got to photograph the 964 today. But the middle of next week, I'll probably photograph my car, and it should go live about a week after the 964. So I'll have 2 consecutive cars there for a minute, and should be really good. So 2 very cool Porsches coming. Watch this space. Chances are they'll both be on Bid Nerds, and maybe we do this again where we we war room the closing and see how it goes.
Yeah, and then of course here's my crazy slant nose, guys.
Look at that.
This is not a live listing, but it is in the process of we are editing it right now. So that's going to be fun to talk about that car. So keep posted for some cool cars. Thanks for joining us for special live coverage. We were here to see if Michael Deeb's 911 SC that he's representing for a client would reach reserve. And it did by the skin of its teeth. Congratulations to my partner in the cellar, and thanks again for the Nerd Herd hanging out. We will see you guys tomorrow night live at a regular time, 6:30, where we will we'll cover the results of that 911 SC for the regular audience, as well as the other cars that we made predictions on. And then, of course, we're going to make all new predictions. So come on and join us and see if you are better at making predictions on Bring a Trailer auction results than we are. Do we have a guest on Wednesday's show? Do we have someone coming on?
Oh, we might. Yeah. Geez, I haven't even confirmed.
Well, we won't say that. We do think we have a pretty big guest coming on tomorrow's show, but we'll make an announcement about that on the socials. Make sure you're following us. Hit the subscribe button, and make sure you get over to Instagram and follow us over there. That's where we usually put special announcements if we're going to do anything at the last second. So again, thanks for hanging out, guys. We'll see you tomorrow night at 6:30 PST. Bye. Bid Nerds is your YouTube card game show.